That's how on I am. I don't even know I'm on. I'm live on YouTube on the Comedy Schools channel. I'm live on ComedySchoolsRadioNetwork.com. I'm live on Facebook Live, and I am Tony Vicich, and this is Living on a Thin Line with Tony Vicich. We come to you every day at 2 p.m. Arizona time, which is currently Pacific time, but after daylight savings time, it'll be Mountain time. Now, you don't know what time it is where you are. That's how I like to start out the show, with a thoroughly confused audience, and I think I will have achieved my results. We come to you every day. We are your daily distraction for all the anger, anxiety, weirdness, and hoopla going on in the world today. The show is brought to you on 3 platforms: ComedySchoolsRadioNetwork.com, where you can always tune in, listen in, leave us comments, questions, answers, money. Also on YouTube and the Comedy Schools channel, and right here on Facebook Live. I'm staring at a telephone, a computer screen, and another computer is picking up the sound of my voice. The show is built around 3 things: questions and comments from you that we attempt to answer or comment back on. Me showing you some knick-knack, art, curio, oddity, memento, something that we have laying around here in the home office that I share with you and try to weave a story around. And then also we recommend 2 artists or 2 pieces of music based on our vast vinyl album collection. And yes, sometime during this week, a couple of the days, we began to feature our CD compact disc collection. And as the weeks go by, we'll be transitioning to that even more, because even with 500 record albums, with the pandemic going on as long as it is, and we have vouched, we have volunteered, we have vowed to do this show every day until the pandemic is over. We will eventually run out of record albums. So, but I got 2 great vinyl albums for you today. 2 great artists, neither of which you probably know about, that I'm going to recommend, that once you listen to them, and we hope that you do that. We hope that when we recommend an artist or a piece of music, that you just go and type their name in YouTube and listen to it, because that would make us happy, and it'll make you happy too, because we recommend really good stuff, man. That's the whole thing going on during quarantine, is we have to make everything old new again, as our worlds have become a little limited in what we can do. And yes, more people are going out. If you follow the graphs and the charts, there's less and less social distancing going on. Oh, my brother's watching. I've got a picture here, Jerry, that you gave me that you didn't draw, but it's a great picture. You gave it to me for my birthday one year, and I'm going to feature it a little later in the show, and then you can give us a little information on this particular picture. As the pandemic goes on, like I said, social distancing is not, people aren't practicing as strongly as they did, say, back in March and April, and it is drifting back up. We are still pretty much in some sort of semi-pseudo kind of sort of lockdown. So for a lot of us, our worlds are a lot smaller. There's no big events. There's no big concerts. There's no Broadway. There's no bus and truck tours of great Broadway shows. There's no sporting events that we can attend en masse. So we have to find ways to take that which we already have and re-examine and re-explore it. And I think in that way we'll keep our spirits up, we'll keep our hope alive, and we'll keep our creativity flowing. Daniel Bros asks, can you link the artist songs on the Facebook comments? I could, but then my fingers are all up here doing that, and it's, you know what, I'll try to do it. I put the names of the artists when we finish the show, and then I put in the byline to it, Living on a Thin Line with Tony Vicich, and I mentioned we talked about, I'll try to do that. I'll try to add that extra layer for you guys. So after the show, you'll be able to go to my Facebook page and see where the show's been recorded, and maybe I can have a link there for you. But it's just too much to do right now. 3 platforms, all these people. It's just overwhelming. What's going on? Was it last night that the Democratic National Convention wrapped up and Joe Biden accepted the nomination? Great speech by Joe Biden. Wonderful speech by Joe Biden. He said something that I think is really important and differentiates the 2 candidates, and that he said he would be president for all the people, not just the people that voted for him. And a thread that has run through this current administration, and we've heard it alluded to by the current president quite a bit, is that why should I care about those people? They don't vote for me. That this administration seems to primarily be concerned with their base and their voters. By the way, a lot of what they do is not good for their base and their voters, but there has been a long historic tradition in America of getting people to vote against their own best interests. A lot of people say that I've been voting against my own best interest most of my life. That's what a lot of people say. Not a lot of people, but sometimes. Sometimes I'm hanging out with a bunch of white guys. I always play golf. Nothing against white guys. I'm a white guy. I like white guys. They go, why are you voting for that? You're not black. You're not a woman. You're not gay. You're not this. You're not that. So I have always voted for progress. I've always voted for progress. Maybe not as rapid as maybe young progressives today, but I've always voted for progress. I've always voted for inclusion. I think we all benefit from inclusion. I think a country where no matter what your sexual orientation or gender, or a country where no matter the color of your skin, a country where no matter if you got here as a child or if you can trace your lineage all the way back to the goddamn Mayflower, that including everyone makes this a really great nation. I mean, over and over again, just a peripheral, just thumbing through history, you see that so many wonderful things were created, invented, thought of, started in this nation by people who were newly arrived or were not part of mainstream, were not able to access mainstream culture. So I like the idea. That was my big takeaway when he said, I will be everyone's president, not just the people who vote for me, but even if you didn't vote for me, I'll be your president. Daniel Bros. I take no that is a we are not responsible for the comments of our audience. Paul Whitney says, including even Maverick fans. Yes, Paul, even Maverick fans. Because I tell you a little secret, I don't know the guy, okay, and I don't know his business history, but I like Mark Cuban. You know, as far as multimillionaires, billionaires go, I like Mark Cuban. I love that TV show Shark Tank. I get a kick out of it. He's a great media personality. Okay, he's someone who just seems like a regular guy who's become extremely successful, which is what he kind of is. So, yes, I hope the Dallas Mavericks get decimated in the next 3 games they play against the LA Clippers. That's the big thing for me tonight. It's 6 p.m. Mountain Standard, 6 p.m. my time. The Los Angeles Clippers take on the Dallas Mavericks in Game 3. Now, surprisingly, but you know what? Not surprisingly, if you watch Game 1, the Mavericks beat the Clippers the last time they met. This series is now even at 1-1. And the Mavericks were giving the Clippers a run for the money in Game 1 before that one guy, Killstrip. How do you say it, Paul? Was ejected. Do the Clippers still have that tall guy? Yes, they do. They still have the tall guy. They don't. I think they got a 7-footer. You know, I think Zubac might be a 7-footer, but they don't have. They're not a really big team for the NBA. You know, but a lot of great NBA players are not. They're taller than the average guy. You know, Chris Paul is what, 6'2", 6'4", something like that. He looks small on a basketball court. Kristaps Porzingis. And I should be able to pronounce that with a name like Vicich, having Eastern European heritage in my blood. Eastern European heritage in my blood. I should be able to pronounce that, but I have a hard time with it. Kristaps Porzingis. He was kicked out in Game 2 on a technical, which technically was correct. A lot of us going, wow, that seems kind of lame because he barely did anything. But what he did was, you know what? That's right. I got his name close enough. And what he did in Game 1 was close enough that he got ejected by the rules of the NBA. Daniel Bro says, I still can't pronounce your name. You know what? And no one can really pronounce your name either, Daniel. B-R-O-Z. Is it Braz? Is it Braz? Is it Brazier? Is Bros short for Brazier? Shouldn't your name, since it's B-R-O-Z, but it's pronounced Bros, it should be B-R-O''S. Tim Lawson says, I like watching midgets play. You know, that's a fun thing to watch, midget basketball. That was a thing when we were kids in high school. They bring in, you don't call them midgets anymore, but that was the title, midget basketball. Let's see. Paul Whitney says, or they just call him unicorn. Unicorn. All right, fine. Well, that's going to be on tonight. I liked Joe Biden's speech. This false narrative being pushed by Republicans that he had that he lost the step, that he missed it, that he was senile. All have went totally out the window for last night's speech. How good was his speech last night? Commentators on Fox News talked about what a good speech it was. Commentators on Fox News talked about what a good speech it was. So we enjoyed that, and we're going to watching the Clippers to stomp the Mavericks. Every Maverick who's over 6 foot at the end of this game tonight will only be 3 foot tall, because the Clippers are going to open up a can of whoop ass on them, the likes of which you've never seen. Kawhi Leonard will avenge the humiliating defeat in Game 2. Okay, what else have I got to tell you about? Not a lot. Just this coming Tuesday at 6 p.m. Arizona time, Pacific time, I'm doing a free intro for my stand-up comedy workshops. If you ever thought about doing stand-up comedy, if you have to speak in a public forum, if you'd like to have a better sales presentation, if you just like to get over to stage fright, the fear of, oh my God, what if someone asks me to stand up and speak in front of a group? Join us. Join us Tuesday at 6 p.m. and we'll share with you some cool tips and ideas to kind of launch you on being a comedy writer, or to get over stage fright, and a multitude of other things. That's the other thing. If you make a mistake, it's no big deal. Other things. That's going to be this coming Tuesday at 6 p.m. It's easy to join in. Just go to comedyschools.com. That's our flagship website. We have two websites. Comedyschools.com or comedyschoolsradionetwork.com. I believe it's up there. And click on the link this coming Tuesday, and it'll be live and it'll be free. And we'll have a little 1-hour chat about performance art and comedy. And then if you like what you hear and like what you see, you might want to join our ongoing workshops. That's the big advertisement. Sorry, Randy, I am a no bobblehead today. What I've got, if Jerry's still around, is I've got this picture that's been hanging on my wall. And I don't think that we've used this picture on the show yet. And that's our concern right now. Some of the stuff we're going, have we already talked about this album? There. What's that?
Maybe at the very beginning.
Yeah. So that is a very cool picture. And that's of two of the great icons of 20th century music and even into 21st century. That is a drawing, a pen and ink drawing of Bob Dylan and Merle Haggard. Bob Dylan and Merle Haggard, a pen and ink drawing, and a very good one too. You can see it. And I don't know who the artist was. What I can tell you about this pen and ink drawing is that it was given to me by my brother Jerry, who is a great artist. We featured a lot of his art. We have more of Jerry's art we can feature on the show. We should do that next week. You know that? We got some drawings that he's done, and we've got some other paintings and stuff we can get up. But Jerry gave this to me as a gift because I am, of course, says in the back, it says Sumo. So I don't know if that's the name of the artist. Anyway, if you can see it, it's a great drawing. Two of the iconic figures in American culture in the 20th, 21st century, Merle Haggard and Bob Dylan. So the interesting thing about this picture is they did tour together. And I actually saw that tour. And for a lot of reasons, I saw that same show twice at the Pantages Theater in Hollywood. I saw it twice. And one of those nights was with my brother Jerry and a friend of his. This was done by his dear old friend, terrific illustrator, Nathan Ota. O-T-A. Ota. There we go. Thank you very much, Jerry. We did see a tour that was Bob Dylan and Merle Haggard. Both together, but not together on the stage at the same time. Merle Haggard was the opening act. Bob Dylan was the closing act. And Merle came out and sang all of his hits, and they sounded just as good as the day that he recorded them. Mama Tried, Okie from Muskogee, all of those hits. Okay, and then Dylan came out and sang all of his hits, and none of them sounded like Dylan songs because Dylan changes every song every time. He changes everybody. It was a fantastic show. I'd heard there had been some consternation during that particular tour. I don't know, there was a 10 or 20 city tour, Bob Dylan and Merle Haggard together, because Dylan never once talked to Merle Haggard, was the story I heard. That Haggard thought they would be hanging out and shooting the breeze and talking, but Dylan's not a big hangout guy and never really hung out with him. And my friend Rich Scheidner, I was talking to on the phone yesterday, he said something at the time. He goes, not surprising, because it's not that he didn't like Merle Haggard. He didn't talk to anybody. He doesn't talk to his he doesn't talk to his band. He doesn't talk to his roadies. He doesn't talk to his kids. Why the hell is he going to talk to Merle Haggard? I saw Warren Zevon on David Letterman one time talking about Dylan either sitting in on one of his records or him getting to play harmonica or something on a Dylan record. He goes, it was a big deal for me. This is Warren Zevon talking about Bob Dylan. Letterman asked Warren Zevon if it was a big deal. He goes, well, was that a big deal, Warren? He goes, well, yeah, I get to work with the guy who kind of invented my job, singer-songwriter. That's a good way to look. He goes, I tried to. He goes, well, did you talk to him? He goes, and Warren Zevon goes, not a lot. Bob's not much for small talk. And Letterman laughed. I think Letterman had him on show. Goes, no, he's not. And Warren Zevon goes, I tried to. He goes, no. He goes, so he goes, so Bob, what have you been up to all summer? He just went, traveling. And that was it. He goes, that was the extent of our small talk. Then we just got to work. Tim Lawson says he loved Johnny Cash. Yeah, he loves a lot of people, but he just doesn't talk to a lot of people. Bob Dylan doesn't. Although great sense of humor on the guy. He had a station on Sirius way back in the day, like 15 years ago, and on that, he talked like crazy about the music he loved and the music that he grew up with. So I love this. I love that my brother gave it to me. I love that we now know the name of the illustrator, Nathan Ota. I'm going to show it to you one more time. Great shot. Maybe I'll take a picture of it, put it on Facebook. Okay, great art. Great art does not only come from well-known artists. Okay, oftentimes it comes from artists you've never heard of and will never hear of again, but they are touched by the muse as well. It's the same thing in music, and it's the same thing in stand-up comedy. Some of the best stand-up comics you'll ever hear are not world famous. Matter of fact, oftentimes the ones that are world famous are somewhat watered-down imitations of the truly great artists. Okay, all right. So we did that. Now we're going to talk about the music, and I'm kind of excited. Jerry says Nathan is pretty well known. Well, cool. That's cool. Now, hopefully, he's people can look him up. Nathan Ota, O-T-A. Nathan Ota, O-T-A. Look him up and see some of his other work. That will be fantastic. Now we're going to talk about the music, and I'm going to recommend these. I don't have the cover to this album, but I got to talk about this album. So this is all I got. So that's this Peaches. Peaches was a huge record chain, primarily in the Midwest. This was an anti-static cover. It keeps it fresher. That's what it says. Okay. I do not have the cover, but I have had this album almost since it came out in 1970, and it's called The Cooper Sessions. Once again, our friend, he's not our friend, we don't know him, but we feel like we know him and we love him. Al Cooper did this album in 1969 in New York. It was recorded in one weekend, released in 1970, and it's called The Cooper Sessions. It followed what was a seminal record, which we've talked about on this show before, the Super Sessions, where one side it was Al Cooper and Mike Bloomfield. The other side, it was Al Cooper and Stephen Stills right before in between Stephen Stills was in Buffalo Springfield and then switched over to Crosby, Stills, and Nash. And during that transition, recorded an album with Al Cooper. Al Cooper, who played the organ on Like a Rolling Stone, formed Blood, Sweat, and Tears and then quit, and also discovered Leonard Skinner. He made the Super Sessions. This is the Cooper Sessions with Shuggy Otis. Now, this is interesting because if you listen to this, if you just listen to, my favorite song is Side 1, Bury My Body. It's a great rave up, a piano-driven rave up of the great old gospel tune, Bury My Body. But on Side 2, on a song called Slow Goombash, Slow Goon Bash. 15-year-old Shuggy Otis puts on a clinic on how to play the blues guitar. That's what makes this album so great. I mean, the music is great, but the kid on guitar is only 15 years old at the time. Now he's quite a bit older now. He's the son of legendary big band leader Johnny Otis. Shuggy Otis was 15. And if you go into YouTube and you put in the Cooper Sessions, Slow Goon Bash, you will hear blues, a rock and blues guitar that makes you go, wow, is that Johnny Winter? Is that Eric Clapton? Who is that? Names brought back in a more modern era? What the hell is going on? Side 2, Slow Goon Bash. YouTube, the Cooper Sessions. And listen, and keep in mind that the guitar you're hearing is being played at the time by a 15-year-old, a prodigy. And that's what I'm talking about. You'll listen to that and go, why wasn't this guy famous? Why wasn't this guy a huge star, especially in an era where guitar players who were playing blues rock became huge stars? Lesser guitar players reached much greater fame than Shuggy Otis. And at 15, being that prodigy that he was, you would think, oh my God, he would have been mentioned, at the top of any list of top 10 guitar players. You listen to him and you go, wow, Stevie Ray Vaughan is almost this good. So that's why I'm recommending that. The Cooper Sessions with Shuggy Otis, 15-year-old Shuggy Otis. Next thing I'm going to recommend, I know I mentioned that Shuggy Otis' dad was legendary band leader Johnny. This, okay, and I've had this since I was a kid. Like my grandpa gave it to me, or someone and my dad's dad gave me. He goes, here's this is good music. And once again, we're not really going to be able to. There's no great album cover here. All right, look at that. It's that was a generic album cover, and this was the Mercury Special Series. The Mercury Special Series. That's what it says. Popular Jazz, copyright RAK Sales Incorporated. Read the label for monorail or stereo. Read the label for selections. Read the label for artists. Read the label. Famous Mercury Records. And this particular album, I know Stevie Ray Vaughan is sacred, Jerry. I'm saying go back and listen to side 2 of the Cooper Sessions. You listen to side 1 too, but side 2, kicking off of that song Slow Goon Bash, and tell me you're not going, okay, all right, this kid could give anybody a run for their money. This album is called Somebody Up There Digs Me. Somebody Up There Digs Me by Louis Jordan. Louis Jordan was as famous in his day as Stevie Ray Vaughan is in his day, or maybe even Beyonce is now. He was known as the king of the jukebox. People loved to play his music on a jukebox because, damn, it was danceable. All right, and he had a hit with Caledonia. Caledonia, Caledonia, how come your feet are so large? How? A great it was called jump blues. Louis Jordan created a type of music called jump blues. It was a fast-paced dance music that incorporated swing and jazz and blues. And also, he was goddamn funny. He was a funny guy. His lyrics are funny. He was a comical band leader. He was a great saxophone player. But if you listen to side 1, if you listen to Caledonia by Louis Jordan, and then you keep in mind that this album, most of these songs, Caledonia was recorded in 1943, and it is a rock and roll record. A lot of people say that Bill Haley in the comments have hit rock and roll with Rock Around the Clock, or that the song roll, or that Ike Tina did with Rocket 88, invented rock and roll. You listen to Caledonia and great guitar licks, which was unusual for a band in the 40s that were mostly horn driven or sax driven. Listen to Caledonia and you go, God damn, was that recorded like 5 years ago? Hot, funny stuff. He also had a big hit with songs that later on kind of people know or kind of know. Choo Choo Chaboogie. Choo 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 Chaboogie. And Is You Is or Is You Ain't My Baby. Is You Ain't My Baby. So this is a form of music you may not be familiar with called jump blues. Jump blues. Okay? And Louis Jordan was the king of it, considered the king of the jukebox. He had quite a life. He was married 5 times. He got ripped off by every record company in the world. In 1961, the IRS came after him for back taxes because, like most musicians who like to drink and dance all night, he wasn't a good accountant, and and a lot of money got stolen. Yet he was still responsible for it, and he was selling off property and stuff at like fire sale rates. Ike Turner got wind of what was going on. He called the Mercury label in Chicago, I believe, and told them, "You need to send Louis Jordan $20,000 right now." And knowing what we now know about Ike Turner, if Ike Turner called you up and goes, "You need to do that now," that they did it and kind of helped him out of a jam. He was married 5 times. One of his wives stabbed him twice. The second time, almost killing him. Okay. What's Jerry saying? What is MKG, a gallery? I don't understand. Diane Howell says, Jerry Vicich, what is MKG, a gallery? She's asking Jerry a question about that. So that's the 2 artists that we're recommending today. Well, the artist Louis Jordan, Caledonia by Louis Jordan. You got that, Daniel Bros? Caledonia. Da, 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 da. Great. Recorded in 1943. It is a rock and roll record. Listen to it. Get back to me tomorrow night and let me know what you think. And also the Cooper sessions, starting out with Slow Goombash. And realize that the guitar you're hearing is being played by a 15-year-old wonderkind. 15. And tell me that it doesn't rival anything that Johnny Winter or Stevie Ray Vaughan or possibly even Clapton did. Granted, they had a lot bigger body of work that captured the imagination. But listen to the Cooper sessions and tell me that kid was not something else. All right. You know what? That's our show today. I was excited because I got to talk about these 2 relatively unknown to us artists, and hope that you will YouTube them, Louis Jordan and the Cooper sessions, and really enjoy. Also, we got to turn you on to an artist, Nathan Ota. Okay, we got to turn you on to that. Talk about people I love talking about, like Bob Dylan and Merle Haggard, and to talk about what a great speech. I don't know if it was rock and roll, okay, but it was certainly really good power pop. If you're going to say, what was Joe Biden's speech last night? Was it rock and roll? Was it rap? No, but it was definitely power pop, and power pop is great fucking music. All right, it was a great speech. All right, you know what we like to say? We like to say Biden 2020 and Vicich 2022. And I'll fill you in on that a little more later on in the coming weeks. All right, folks, that's our show for today. Thanks for watching. Tomorrow, Saturday, special time, 7 p.m. We're on at 7 p.m., not at 2 p.m. That's what we're doing Saturday, Sunday back to 2. I'll see you tomorrow night. Keep everything tight. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, YouTubers. You little YouTubers.